I think Ultra heard some footsteps around us. I think that's why we took a second here. And we see now gone back into the shroud. Of course, with leaving the survivor across the way on the ground, that does mean you know exactly where Nia needs to go. Trying to see if we can find a cutoff point with no one around now. Probably gonna go. Oh, but there's the Nia and the save with the pallet here. The patience to be able to at least get two survivors back into play. Now you've got the survivor off the hook as well. Hey, what it do, what it do? It's your boy Q, and welcome back to YouTube, and let's get ready for another trip here back into the fog with some more Blood Moon League action. And you know what's better than a best of 3 series needing all 3 sets to determine a winner? Oh yeah, that's right, a best of 3 series needing 4 sets to determine a winner. And that's exactly what we got in group stage action here between Demice and Sequence. We're actually going to be getting things kicked off here with the Doctor on the Father Campbell's Chapel. Then we're going to be seeing 4 trials of the Ghostface on Larry's Memorial Institute. And then in the third and decisive set, fourth and decisive set, in the final set here, we're going to be seeing the Plague on the Suffocation Pit. Unfortunately, it does sound like in a couple parts in the trials, my mic quality wasn't the clearest during the broadcast. Unfortunately, Discord things, what can you do, right? But I did still want to throw the matchups up here on the YouTube, because the gameplay was absolutely fire. If you want to keep up with what the Wolfpack has going on as far as competitive DBD, as always, I'm going to leave their links, including their Discord, down in the description below. Remember, every like, comment, share, that all helps us out with that good old YouTube algorithm. Helps get our content in front of more people as we chase down 500 subs here on the YouTube, where we do post competitive DBD from like all across the globe, including the OCE region. We post like discussional videos, even our own 1v1 events. We're like posting on YouTube literally daily. So make sure you smack that subscribe button down below and then tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody about it. Until we do catch y'all back over here on the YouTube, don't forget, man, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love harder. All right, y'all? It's your boy Q, signing out. All right, let's go ahead and take another trip here back into the fog. This time going to be starting off our matchup here between Demice and Sequence here. Going to be hanging on board with Ultra on the Doctor on the Father Campbell's Chapel. It does look like we've been able to find ourselves 2 survivors actually relatively quickly. Haven't even used our not just the shock therapy, but the big old static blast yet as far as trying to tear up some survivors. Might not be too surprised to see Ultra hang on to that just a moment here. Of course, the Doctor's ability to use this shock therapy here to really shut down a loops can really be a pesky little pain in the rear here for the survivors. We do see a first early hit. The question is, can you turn this into an early down? And it looks like if it's a down, they're going to be trying to pull them back deep into those corrupt side of the map.
This is a very good first move here by Team Sequence, making sure that the killer is losing some time here. Ultra will try to get this survivor down as quick as possible to get the pressure started, but so far Sequence on a good run, and knowing them, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a teammate coming over anytime soon here. At least Ultra is expecting that with the forced penance here, trying to fake on this pallet here. Good move, and the swing coming out by Excise, beautifully played here. And once again, a fake, shaking things a little bit around here. Now the vault coming in as well here. Excise, absolutely phenomenal in the deep area of corrupt there. And I was mentioning he needs support from a teammate soon, right? It doesn't look like.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Actually looks like instead the teammates here are going to go ahead and stick to the gens. There's going to at least be an Adam that rotated, I think came over just from that generator across the way that first popped there. So there is going to be a first gen, a second gen. Might not even be surprised to see a third generator pop here in the Sequence here to start off the game. There it is. Now going to be seeing Adam taking the down though in the basement. We do have another injured survivor lurking in the shadows. Kind of surprised to see Ultra not trying to at least push a little bit of extra pressure out there. I guess understanding that we've already lost 3 gens, wanting to put down the pedal as far as getting started as far as our objective, because there is hook state number 1.
Very, very Strong start for Team Sequence here. 3 generators already. We do see them being close here to the hook. Really confident, we have to say, though, sending the injured survivor close towards the hook here. There's going to be the unhook onto iPick. So this is going to be the 4th survivor coming back, and this is a Poker's hit through the pallet here, but this is going to be the other way around the same. So the players need to be very careful here on the pallet. Axe size is going to be hook stage number 2 here in, we could say, towards the midsection of the map. So Ultra doesn't have a far way towards these generators. He's going to use the static blast to see if any rescuer is close by, but there's no survivor around, so that means they might just stick to the generators here on the top side.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see. I mean, understandable as far as maybe wanting them to stick over to this side, but we do see the safe unhook coming in relatively fast here. I mean, that should even allow time for us to go ahead and see the reset across the way. We did find the Atom, though, who unfortunately has not been reset, though, so that is going to only need a simple M1 here to be able to get the down. We see just being able to, are we going to be able to shut down this pallet here? Does look like we're going to be able to keep that going here. Now also got an injured state. We're seeing that forced penance coming into play here, which will mean that our ace will not be able to be healed for a while. Love seeing that perk coming out on an M1 killer where we know that teams are going to want to rotate in, take the protection hits. It's interesting to see our survivors, though, continue to rotate in at free will, knowing that they're going to be broken.
This is now going to be the next filler pallet being dropped early here to take as much time with a longer loop, and the firecracker coming into play here with the perfect timing as well. René here doing a good job so far, just taking the shock, moving around here now, just traveling over towards the corner of the map here, not going for the mind games on the pallet, just taking the time for Team Sequence, and that's going to be generator number 5 very soon, I would say. You're seeing how Team Sequence is preparing here. This is going to be the end game indeed. That's coming out now. 3 stages so far for Demice. René a fresh hook though, but we can see Ultra, especially with the No One Escapes Death, really looking forward for more.
Yeah, and I mean, at least you've been able to spread the pressure as far as those fresh hooks early, but now you do definitely want to make sure you can capitalize a little bit here in the end game, because if we were to just camp out this survivor here into the death state, that would be 5 stages. Not the worst of performances, but I feel like you would want to put more points on the board. It's interesting, though. We seem to be kind of content with it.
And Ultra doesn't even get the chance here to go for these survivors because there's no quick on the door here. Sequence doing sequence things, I would say. Just coming in, smashing through the generators. 5 stages here across 3 survivors. To a 4-point lead for the survivor team here. Really, really strong start. And looking towards the looking towards trial number 2 here, where we have Demice on the survivor side, we basically need a very, very optimal survivor performance there with all even more body blocks than Sequence has been doing.
Yeah, you know, I feel like when you go with a pick like the Doctor, where you know that it's an M1, you're going to be limiting the amount of stages that are played on both sides, the killer and the survivor, right? Like, I don't think anybody picks Doctor and expects it to be like the Nurse, where it's about who gets the 4K at what gen's done, right? It's more about who can get what stages out the door, which leads me to believe that maybe Demice has a trick or two up their sleeves to be able to come out here and make the 5 stages look like a breeze on the survivor side. So it's going to be interesting to see here, because as you had mentioned, Sequence is handing over a very nice win condition to their killer. So we'll be bringing trial number 2 here of Demice versus Sequence to y'all after a very quick break.
And we are back with the second trial between Sequence on Killer and Demice on the survivor side. Here, Excise indeed needs no mercy to get at least 6 stages onto the survivor team here. I know from myself that Demice was really preparing for this Doctor set here. They have scrimmed Slow Galileo a couple of times here preparing for this match, so we can expect a very organized team as we know them here. First chase is going to start with Ultra, and that is going to be the same ping difference as we have seen before. So rough for this survivor here, taking a hit early on, but going into the corrupted area and forcing Excise to leave here. Wonderful play by Ultra, trying to drag the killer away and not handing out too much pressure here. Good start for the survivor team.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see coming out when we look down here in the bottom right-hand corner. We're starting to see it come out more particularly on the M1 killers, but since the change to the hemorrhage effect, seeing that sloppy butcher coming out here should be really intriguing. That's going to replace where we had seen the forced penance kind of put in this similar sort of build last trial. So going to be interesting to see if maybe our survivors might be able to make no mercy here, maybe actually pay and punish, or maybe punish them just a little bit with no forced penance, seeing more body blocks coming in. We saw the reset coming in quickly onto Ultra, but unfortunately no one in for a protection hit. That's an early down here with about 20 seconds left on our corrupt.
This is now going one step back real quick to check that nobody is dropping the pallet here, but IKEA is going into the basement. And as you said, this is going to be really, really big here, because that's going to be a nice defending for our killer here. IKEA is going to stay there for quite a while, potentially, if we do assume that Excise would go for the camp here. It's going to be interesting to see what is going to be his option. Checking the lock is here as well, making sure that no survivor is too close yet for the unhook. And I do think Excise has earned himself some time to just go for this camp here.
Yeah, I think when you get yourself a very early down, especially when we talk about a win condition right around that 6-7 stages mark, depending on how you spread out those fresh hooks, right? When you get an early down, you might as well at least get the second stage. Honestly, might not even be surprised to see Excise not move here until the elimination or until the survivor is removed from the basement otherwise, honestly.
And yeah, we can see he's really confident with his time management here. IKEA definitely going into the second one. I really, really think that was the right call here. Now he can leave. We do see second generator coming out. A little bit of getting punished here for the camp. Just going for the static blast on the survivor in the main building, potentially forcing them into the snap out. A few seconds being taken there. But Axa is actually going for the ultimate camp here onto IKEA. Third generator coming out as a punishment. We have no one escapes death, so if you do go for a no one escapes death fresh survivor in the end, there would be 6 stages and there would be the win condition for you there. Even though one survivor has been hooked less, there would be 1 point win for Team Sequence here. So Demice needs 2 generators and then a perfect end game to go for set number 1 here.
And we're going to be hanging on board, and it does look like, kind of like I was saying, right, Excise has no reason to leave this basement. The one thing that is going to be really important, I would say, for our survivors right now, they really need to finish this top mid-gen, because if Excise can get up here and interrupt this, that would be really big value. You can hear that things are rocking. There it is. Oh, no, the completed gen is actually on the other side of the map, which means now with taking chase with Paige here into the bottom side of main, I believe we had a second survivor up in main itself, should be able to finish that gen. There is going to be that other fresh hook you were talking about, though, Dyer.
And this is now going to be exactly that fresh hook, a little bit too early when you look from the perspective of the mice. Now they would need to go through the dull totems here and then make sure that they go for a 3-man escape. Deadman switch is coming out, though. Really, really powerful strategy when you have the static blast here. But he earned that by hooking the survivor in the mid of the map here and getting a quick down. This is going to be Nia and Paige together here. It's going to be Thomas taking a hit as well. Paige running towards the top side into the circus area. 5 stages would be a win for Team Demice, because they have only 2 survivors on a hook that far. This is going to be the down, though, so Paige is going straight back onto a hook here. Generator number 5, though, needs to come out soon, but with that Deadman switch blocker, it might be a little bit difficult here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Not exactly sure what sound notification we had seen over this way, but if that was from a missed skill check, or anything like that while we were having a reset. Nope, it's not going to be the case. It actually ends up being we have a survivor up here. So that does mean generator number 5 does indeed now get done. Going to be seeing Exai's following these scratch marks here around the main building. It is a survivor. Oh, that's going to be the Quentin. Yeah, we're going to find Tomas here. Remember, that survivor hasn't been hooked yet. You would like to get those fresh hooks. That would be a big value for you, as we do now see the down.
And
was that a rare red herring that went off after the gens were done?
Oh, maybe. Maybe that was the case here. That would explain the notification we have seen there. Page trying to go for the borrowed time it, but it's not going to come through. And Excise not just taking the win condition there by picking up the original Thomas. It's going to be the slug for the 4K here. So I think we can tell what sequence is planning for this matchup here.
Oh, we do see, though, unfortunately, Paige not going to be able to end up on the ground. Oh, this isn't good. Here's going to be the Nia moving into the TNL. Should be able to make the vault here before the power is back. We see Exais trying to play the mind game, kind of do that little hesitation move on the L wall itself, trying to do the back and forth here, trying to see if we can catch the Nia out of position. Might have caught Nia committing over just a little bit. That does now mean we've got survivors spread across the board, all on the ground. As long as you can secure your slugs, at least you are able to say for your survivors to come out here now. You just need to get some stages out, right?
Yeah, they need a lot of they would have needed a ton of stages out of the door here. Unfortunately, like Sequence is showing us how they want to go into the second set here, because this is very, very confident to slug for the 4K, not just taking the win condition here. And we have the Ghostface, right? And Ghostface was always more in favor of Sequence, Millennium, these kind of teams that got known for it. So I think Sequence right now in the absolute dream state.
Yeah, I think they seem to be looking amazing, right? And to come out here on this case and you're able to do it, I mean, I feel like the 4K on a Doctor is something that you just don't really expect, right? So to have this and know that these survivors are going to have to come back out again on the next set as well, it's really good job as far as for setting the pace here. It's just, I mean, honestly, just exactly what you were hoping to do here on the back end of set 1, right?
And this is actually going to be a very, very good score for Team Sequence as well. The first set is going to finish in a 45 for Team Sequence to a 23 from Team Demice here. So very, very strong first set. As said, we're going to move into the ghost phase on Larry's Memorial Institute. Sequence was always very, very strong on that killer. So Demice here needs to push themselves together again, go for a very coordinated, very, very fresh restart in set number 2. We have seen them doing that in the past year, and we know they have a great team chemistry as well that will help them achieving that. Still, the Ghostface set is really going to push Demice onto their limits.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how you respond here, especially because, I mean, this was your pick, right? I'm sure you were anticipating at least things being a little bit closer here. So, I mean, you really need to make sure that you take the time here in between sets, because kind of like we had talked about earlier in the first matchup, right? If you can try and kind of hit that reset button, you can still win this best of 3 matchup. You can't win it in this next set, but you can definitely lose it in this next set. So going to be interesting to see how Demice responds after a set 1 score the way that we just saw. So as Dyer had mentioned, we're going to be bringing the Ghostface to y'all with Demice and Sequence after a very quick break. All right, let's go ahead and take another trip here back into the fog here. We did have a little longer of a delay. We had a player crash on our last attempt to get in. This time, though, it does look like we've got all 4 survivors, as well as a killer here on the Larry's Memorial Institute. And, you know you had mentioned before that the Ghostface has been a pick that we've seen quite often. And if there's one team's Ghostface that I would want on my side, it would definitely be Sequence if that's the kill that I could pick.
Absolutely, yeah. And I have to say though, IKEA here with such a confidence getting exposed really, really early into the trial and not even dropping this pallet here. Now finding the stun there and getting some distance away from iPick. Going to be interesting if the killer is going to try cut off our survivor here. Nia instead in chase. That's also what you would take, since the survivor is already injured and very confident looping as well here, getting some distance from iPick. Demice really on point these early seconds in the trial.
Yeah, Demice looking really good here. We do see it down at this point. Nancy still has a little bit of time left on their marker. I would imagine they are nowhere near us, though, at this point. And we are going to be seeing a first hook coming in here. Oh, I was going to say before Corrupt's expired, but actually thinking back, this is something we have seen kind of on the Ghostface set. No Corrupt being in play here, looking to actually come in with a really aggressive build. And we had seen the Ruin getting popped really early, so that's going to be the Pentimento now coming into play here. 30% slowdown on these generators as we have yet to see one pop before the first hook.
This is going to be quite some pressure now from our killer, because especially with the Pentimento, right, you need one survivor going for the rescue. One of them needs to get the Pentimento out of the way, and that leaves only one survivor on the generators here. So that might be very difficult. iPick now trying to cut off these survivors, going for edge wrap, and it does work. Thomas running into iPick here, and that's going to be a down together with the pallet being taken out here. So the instant pickup will happen. Decisive strike is banned against the Ghostface, so you can just go for hook stage number 2 here. It's going to be a mid-section hook as well, so the way towards the active generators is not that far here. Deadman switch is going to help you a little bit. So far, really confident now from iPick.
Yeah, iPick looking good thus far, but we do got to keep in mind now at this point, through the rest of the trial here, only going to have 2 perks at their disposal. We do see doing a good job controlling the stock there, getting Nancy not quite 99, but pretty darn close. Also going to be seeing that Ultra is going to switch over that injured state, taking one forward a Peepo here, which does allow for the tunnel out process to take a little bit longer unless we happen to see iPick be able to find our survivor here and be able to get a quick stalk in before they are broken out. We see that stalk status getting closer and closer, working around the pallet here. Now we're going to be able to get the down. That's really, really well done.
Really, really good move here. Confident mind games, and this was important, right? You want your pressure staying stable and applied on the survivor team for the entire time, not taking the risk there with the pallet as well. So this is going to be Thomas removed from the trial here. An early elimination Team Demice has to take, so this is going to cut down the chances to get the generators out quickly, also cutting them down a little bit. There's generator number 3 in the distance. iPick here able to go for some value with the Deadman switch. There's also the survivor that is stalked 95% so far, so this might be huge for our killer here, especially when he's able to get IQ very soon and the God pallet out of the way as well. This next run here from the Nancy needs to actually last quite some time.
Yeah, and I mean, now we're actually seeing Ultra going to be getting found able to break out iPick here, so that does mean no longer having that stalk potential here. So it does look like iPick is going to go ahead and break the chase, finds the scratch marks here on the backside of this elongated bathrooms here, and not sure if we'll be able to see where, Nancy going to be able to find right away. Interesting to see us go for the break right away instead of maybe actually going for the stalk. However, that does mean that we can leave Nancy right now, leave her around that 95, 90-ish% stalk rate that we do see, and potentially get the one shot down later. Right now, still needing 2 gens done, and we see iPick really just playing this very patiently, trying to force the survivors to make the mistakes, right?
And this is going to be quite some mistakes now being forced. IKEA has still the 95% stalk. So as soon as he's caught in a dead zone or off guard here, that would be really, really tough. We also have some resources removed from the map already, and the survivor team in general under a lot of pressure here with 3 survivors standing. They've made a good recovery though. Everyone is healthy right now, but with the stalk progress that is currently applied onto these survivors, that might change very soon here. This is going to be Ultra, least stalked survivors, but iPick is going to change that very soon here, trying to go for the hide and seek, but Ultra able to break him out of the power here. That's huge. There's the Nancy though, trying to support. iPick realizes that. I don't think that was the play here, sending over IKEA, the survivor that was so far stalked. They might not be aware of the current stalk progress here, but if Nancy is getting downed quickly here, that might really backfire.
Yeah, I think they are maybe not aware how close Nancy is to being stalked. I think they have a little bit of an idea, which is why we have somebody around to kind of at least help with the breakout whenever the stalk does happen. But I think the intention with sending the Nancy in was to try and see if you could force iPick into making the mistake of having just the regular M1 be applied to the Nancy, therefore losing the stalk progress. However, we saw iPick. I had mentioned earlier, right, showing a lot of patience thus far in the trial, continuing to display that and continuing to display a nice sense of control during this trial here right now as well. Now going to be getting at least a second fresh hook thus far in the trial. Really hoping to find either the Claudette or the Quentin here, and you're in a position where both of them are sitting around halfway stalked.
This is now going to be some camp possible here for iPick. The generator is not that far away. It's a nice 3-gen actually with the hook in the middle. Deadman switch going to help here as well. So with the value of this perk, it might be and 3-second stage, we could say here, because IKEA is going to stay on the hook for a little bit longer, let's say 25 seconds here. Then we have the second hook stage being applied. Deadman switch is running out now, but it wasn't that far. Paige is behind the killer here, lurking for the save. The other survivor was not on a generator as well, so iPick also knows that the survivors seem to prioritize the unhook here and not going for the generators, and that will allow the camp into the second stage here successful in just a few seconds.
Yeah, and we do see iPick now getting back into that night shroud here. We've got Paige just about stalked. There it is. Paige now completely exposed. Going to be taking this aggro away from the hook. Going to be forcing the pallet down here is iPick. This is a pretty tough pallet to work around here. For that reason, we're going to be seeing iPick here quickly breaking the pallet. We see some sound notifications across the way. Oh, going for the swing. Not going to be able to find a connection. Not sure how much progress Quentin had been able to put into a different gen, but it looks like here iPick is going to break away from this chase, and for good reason. This generator here in the middle had a whole lot of progress.
The dry kick here for iPick, that is going to be a little bit of a regression here, but if one of the sequence Demice survivors is instantly hopping on it, there would be some pressure here, but IKEA getting caught off guard here upstairs. This is going to be a hook straight next to the generator with a lot of progress here, so this is going to be quite tricky. Deadman switch will be back as well now for a few seconds. Paige has successfully survived the power, but for the cost of a teammate being removed from the trial. Deadman switch here once again. 2 survivors need to knock out that final generator. It's going to be an M1 onto Paige as well here. So iPick with a good control right now, checking back on the 3rd generator here, maybe looking to get another Deadman switch applied. There's the scratch marks. He knows about both survivors here. iPick might be able to finish this with a 4K.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I really like the decision, right? You get the quick tap onto Paige here, which means Paige can go down with a simple M1 as you do go find Ultra. Ultra was sitting at about half stock. Oh no, getting broken out down the hallway here. I was going to say, you can make a play here with your Night Shroud, get the 1 tap onto Ultra, and then all you need is a basic M1 onto Paige. But unfortunately, Ultra going to be able to break out iPick here. The only thing is Ultra does not know how close they are to being completely exposed. But right now, going to need to play this thing very, very careful, especially because iPick here is back in that shroud form here, right? Doesn't have the heartbeat, doesn't have the red stain. Going to be working their way here through these rooms, try and see if you can at least locate the reset. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. So instead, probably just going to get back, trying to monitor these gens. Unfortunately, Paige here going to be able to break out iPick here. iPick, though, I think more focused on trying to find Ultra.
Yeah, iPick is trying to go for Ultra. Page takes the M1 once again. Here is now going to leave. iPick checking if we can cut her off, but Ultra would be a really, really quick down here with the 99 stock. We have to say anyway, iPick being really, really on point with his power use and like keeping the survivors 95, 99 and striking later on in the match. He was successful doing that quite some time, and that really put him into the position he's in right now. We do have to mention also that both of the survivors we have still standing are fresh hooks. So if Ultra decides to hide now, going for an endgame play, that is the chance for 10 points swinging.
Yeah, that's going to be big here. I mean, now we're going to be leaving Paige laying down on the ground here. We're about to have the Night Shroud back at our disposal here. So we're now going to be seeing iPick going into that Night Shroud again. No red stain, no terror radius here. So iPick has a little bit of freedom to kind of move a little bit more freely around the map here, right? Just because you don't have that heartbeat. But I would want to make sure you don't lose track of that slug across the way. Of course, Larry's has a lot of places that those survivors can tuck into and allow for the bleed out, which would result in a big point swing here. So iPick kind of under pressure, also on a timer. We do see Paige getting picked up off of the ground here, moving back towards the library as iPick. Very minimal pressure still onto this generator, not even probably like 15% just quite yet. Working around, we find ourselves Paige. I don't think that's who iPick wants. iPick wants to finish the stalk onto Ultra if possible and get the one shot down. But it does look like Paige going to try and kind of hang around behind us here and try and see if we can support where possible.
Yeah, it is going to be still a lot of options here for Demice, right? We still have this chance to keep Ultra hidden, and so far they are doing a really, really good job with that. And it would be a 10-point swing coming out here. So that's something they really, really need to think about. If you do get a generator, but reveal your position with 2 points, that might be tricky. Talking about Ultra, there he is. iPick coming from the backside, really sneaky, nice mind game into the down here. Now the slug coming out for Paige, trying to find her, trying to finish this off on one generator to be completed, because that would mean that the win condition for Team Sequence is getting 5 generators out of the way here in order to take the 2-0, and there she is in a locket. Target found. This is going to be the 4K for iPick, and Sequence doesn't even need stages out of the door here. Impressive performance.
Yeah, iPick just really looking good here on the Ghostface. I mean, honestly, this is the part of the reason we love to watch Ghostface, right? One, we don't trying to find our survivors here, trying to see if we can make sure we lock things away here, but that is going to be wrapping things up as far as the 4K. And it's going to be it's worth mentioning the gens don't even get done without corrupt intervention. I mean, corrupt not needed? Question mark?
Yeah, corrupt on Larry's is probably something where we would need to invite some experienced comp players, because I do know a lot of experienced players that are constantly taking corrupt on Larry's, and then there are a lot of experienced players that are never bringing corrupt on Larry's. So corrupt on Larry's seems to be a very controversial thing on in competitive Dead by Daylight here. iPick obviously one of those that is not relying on corrupt intervention, and he has proven us why, because he just doesn't need it. He's on point with his power use and on point with his Ghostface here. We are waiting for Ultra and Paige to go for the death here. This is now coming through, so really, really strong game once again here. iPick just showing off. I think it might still be from the time where Millennium was really cranking out Ghostface on Larry's, picking it everywhere, and Sequence tried to stick up with them and also preparing Ghostface. And I think the result we could see right here.
Yeah, I think this is just, I mean, you'd mentioned them really kind of preparing with this and coming in. And I'll tell you what, I do not envy whoever it is that Demice is going to be sending out here on the killer side, because you can imagine with having this sort of dominance on the killer side, and that the fact that they've been preparing for this means that the survivors have probably been preparing for something similar and have a trick or two up their sleeve. I mean, this was their pick, and for Demice right now, this next trial could spell the end of this series. So you need to make sure you're putting your best foot forward. So not sure who they're sending out. You'll find out. We'll find out. We'll be bringing trial number 4 here between Demice and Sequence after a very quick break.
This might be the decision between Demice and Sequence. If Demice is not getting a 4K in time, and that means that Sequence only needs to knock out all generators here on Larry's Memorial Institute. But in a Ghostface set, that's easier said than done, because the Ghostface can make things shaking around quite quickly. This is going to be René taking the first injury here. No stalk progress though, and we do see no corrupt. Once again, instead a sloppy paired with Thrill of the Hunt and Pentimento and Ruin. So we can see that Ultra is going all for some slowdown here.
Yeah, really going all in. Definitely an interesting build to see. I mean, sometimes on Larry's, you can get lucky with some of those totem spawns kind of being tucked into some little nooks and crannies here, which can help you out. But unfortunately, we are going to be seeing the first totem off of the board is going to be that Thrill of the Hunt. So, of course, with Ruin still being in play, that will mean our survivors will still continue hunting for those totems. We'll expose the get the Ruin out of here relatively soon here, I'm sure. A big swing and a miss here allows for another revolution around this pallet space. Oh my goodness, get stunned, get behaviored. Looked like Ultra might have been out of that pallet space, but unfortunately getting caught with the wood. Now going to be seeing the Ruin getting cleansed across the way with the moonwalk through the doors. The survivors just out here kind of strutting their stuff right now.
Yeah, Sequence seems to be very happy, we could say, to play this Ghostface set. They look really motivated and really on point here. Essential is receiving some stalk progress here, but that's pretty much it. What's going for Ultra right now. The injuries have been reset. There's only one survivor with a dangerous stalk progress, and now it's going to be Excise. Taking a hit here on this pallet. Mind game successful for Ultra, and the Pentimento is coming into play as well. So that's at least some cleanse time for the survivors if they locate it straight away. The chase is being taken towards the corner of the map here into this relatively strong room. So this is also going to take quite some time now from Ultra. So this is going to be quite tricky here.
Yeah, this is one of those situations here where I got to admit, Dyer, I'm not a big fan of the Pentimento getting thrown up if you don't have at least something around that you're kind of monitoring with the totem, right? They just cleansed that totem here like, 2-3 minutes ago? They know the location of it. Yeah, it causes a little bit of a time, but I feel like if maybe you can at least wait to where, oh my goodness, nice firecracker here to be able to get the blind. Now going to be getting the stalk, but there is a pallet in the way here as well. There's going to be our first gen getting popped across the way. We only have one more use of the Pentimento here. At that point, once the Pentimento is used and cleansed, Ultra will only have one perk and needs to get the 4K here before the 5th gen pops.
This is going to be quite tricky, right? Ultra now going through the office here, going to kick this pallet. This is going to be René, needs to stay up for a few more seconds, dropping this pallet early, but Ultra coming really close, winning the mind game though on the side of Sequence, but this is going to be the down. This is going to be the first hook stage for Ultra. We see some scratch marks, so Sequence tried to send in another survivor here, unfortunately not in time. Second generator being completed here as well. I wouldn't be surprised if a third one is coming out here very soon. Hooking in the basement though, that is going to be huge because Ultra now with the chance to decide, is he going to camp René or going for the generators? The issue is, do you have enough time for a camp?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, right? Because that is a fresh hook in the basement. That's 120 seconds of hang time. And seeing as you have 3 survivors still in play who could just simply hold M1 on these gens, even with the Pentimento getting put into play right now, right? If a gen does not have any progress, at the most, it's adding 24 seconds to an 80-second repair time. So you can still get 3 generators complete here before this sacrifice comes in. So Ultra definitely doesn't really, I would say definitely, but probably doesn't have the option to camp here, unfortunately. Going to be feeling the pressure, really needing to get another down and get it quickly.
And this is going to be René staying in the basement actually surprisingly long there. Seems like Sequence doesn't really bother about the teammate, and it's understandable, right? Oh, they're saving last second. Don't mind me here.
Oh,
Really,
no.
really strong. But Nancy is staying in the basement as an exchange here. But that is going to be 60 seconds additional hang time here for Team Sequence, so the trade would work
Oh, no.
out. But to make it a trade, our David needs to stay alive here, and that's not going to be the case. René is going to teleport on the ground into the pallet here, and this is going to be the quick rehook. So Essential would need to be picked up, and that means Ultra manages to keep all the survivors away from the generator except one. If Nancy is even being picked up, maybe they are confident to just knock out the required generators with 2 survivors.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be seeing Nancy now moving just a little bit more forward. Got the nose in the pallet space. No one around, though, unfortunately. No pallet safe enjoyers. So, yeah, it does look like this is going to be 2 hooks in the basement. Not just 2 hooks in the basement, but we do have the Nancy going on that back hook here as well. And now that Pentimento, quite interesting because it does slow the gens down, but we've spent so much time acquiring these 2 hooks in the basement that Ultra doesn't even have the option to just simply wait around because there's generator number 4. And if those 2 survivors were to link up on a gen and grind that thing out, they can get the win without even having to get these survivors out of the basement. So Ultra gonna need to put some pressure on these gens.
And this is, yeah, as you mentioned, the pressure on the generators is really, really needed here because the 2 survivors in the basement, that is really, really good for you. But if Sequence manages another generator here, that would be it for this match. It would be a 2-0 for Team Sequence. They're over here, but it's injured Nia. And this leaves Ace as the final survivor. And if Ace is not knocking out generator number 5, that would mean we are running things back here on Larry's Memorial Institute with the Ghostface. We would need to go for a rematch. This is going to be the save here. Nancy is staying in though, and Excise is going to be the survivor that is now on the final run here. 4K on 1 generator. We have seen that in the trial before, Q, and we talked about it. 4K on 1 generator seems to be a very, very common result for the Ghostface.
Yeah, I would almost call it like the expectation, right? Because, able to get the play to get a survivor up. Unfortunately, Nia is going to end up back down the ground. Now, Ace does have an injured state here as well. But yeah, it just seems like this 4 hook, the 4 gens done, 4K seems to kind of be around where the landing point is, and the goal really seeming to be if you can just get the gens done. We are going to see Ace making it to the pallet space. Not going to make it all the way there, though. And now as long as you can secure your slugs, but that is going to be something that could prove to be a little bit of a challenge, as there's one survivor we haven't seen for a while. I can't remember which one that was, though.
And this survivor that is there on the ground, I think there was iPick, might have the power to decide this match still, because remember everyone, there's no points for a bleed out, and that would be the difference between tie and win for Team Sequence here. So if Ultra manages to find all the survivors, they will be fine here. If not, then we are going to see Sequence moving forward. But Ghostface, Q, we need to talk about it. Ghostface is by far the killer that is causing the most ties, and he's always causing a tie on 1 generator remaining. What's the reason?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure if it's just one of those situations where you had mentioned a couple teams throwing this in as a curveball, but it's not like it's a super common pick just yet. I don't know if it's just because it's Larry's and you never ever otherwise play Larry's unless you're maybe doing pubs, right? So maybe it's just not having a really good strategy to knock out the gens, because we are also seeing that the 4K on 4 gens complete being common with no corrupt too, right? So you're not getting the additional benefit from those 3 furthest gens getting covered for the first couple of minutes there, which makes me wonder if all of it just is part of because it's Larry's. It's something different, right?
Yeah, I think it also shows the great. I mean, a lot of people in the normal game, we could say in the pub matches, say that Ghostface is really weak, right? But I feel like here in competitive DVD, he really shines with his talent to break through team communication a little bit, to the perfect coordination a little bit, because he is just coming around the next corner. He's just waiting for you, catching you in a dead zone or off guard. And this might be the explanation why it's only enough to get 4 generators out here, not after that, because there's so much pressure being built from the hook stages that the teams are not making it further. But yeah, Ghostface is causing by far the most ties in our tournament, and if he's causing a tie, this tie is always coming out with with a generator still standing. That seems to be a very common condition here, and therefore we are going to run things back. Scores going back to 28 to 8. We're staying on this. No, scores going back to 0. What am I saying? Scores going back to 0 because we need to make a decision here on the Ghostface set. You might know some other tournaments. They are moving forward into the next set here. With the Wolfpack, we are staying on this set to avoid that ties are adding up, and then we play the last set over and over and over again. So Ghostface needs to be decided. It's alternating order now, so Demice is staying on the killer side. Sequence will play Survivor once again, and we are showing you the tiebreaker after a break.
All right, let's go ahead and take another trip here back into the fog, back on Larry's Memorial Institute, back on board here with Ultra. And of course, with running things back on the Larry's set here, with this now reversing the set, now you're coming out on the killer side first, especially after I would imagine Sequence might have gotten thrown off a little bit with the fact that they even have to run it back. Now you get an early down. This could be very, very big for Ultra.
This is a very
huge
change. Yeah, this is a change to the first one we have seen here. Ultra really, really quick. That's just a few seconds into the trial, and that is essential landing in the basement here. Hex Ruin has been cleansed. That is going to be Pentimento available now. But next tag already coming out here onto Exile. Sequence seems to play with a struggling start here and not having the best and easiest time. M1 also onto Rene. That is leaving iPick as the only potential rescuer. That would mean if he rotates over that nobody is working on the generators right now. Plus there's a 30% regression or penalty now on the generator speed. So overall we can say that this is one of the best Ghostface starts we have ever seen.
Yeah, not only do you have the 30% slowdown thanks to the Thanatophobia, but we see here Ultra swapped away from the I think they had brought the Fill of the Hunt last time, so we're also going to be seeing an additional 15% slowdown thanks to that Thanatophobia. So right now, the gens are crawling. You're going to need to get this save here, or you need to get the reset here. And I almost think you want to prioritize the Pentimento first, right? Because you want to make sure you get that cleanse because you got plenty of hang time. But if you allow the sacrifice and things get spicy again, and then you still have the slowdown on the generators, that could be really, really a lot of trouble. Now we're going to be finding the ace. Oh no, we've got the Dwight here, or the David here as well. This is not good for our survivors.
They've just gone for a full reset, and Tag is coming back. 2 of them straight being injured. Nia might take in one here as well. That would make entire team Sequence injured. Again, Nancy, though, will be the target for the tunnel. She's trying to force the BT, but this is not going to work. Ultra is waiting for this. There's the down. No decisive strike. That's going to be the elimination coming through onto Nancy here on 5 generators remaining. Sequence with a horrible early game here. They need a serious comeback with just 3 survivors here.
This is going to be tough. 3v1, and you haven't even popped a gen yet. This is sheesh. Ultra really on a tear here, making sure to do the best foot forward here, trying to make sure you can steal a set point number 2 from Sequence here after they took the Doctor set, because that would then indeed force us to go to the Plague here. But of course, we might be getting a little ahead of ourselves, but instead there's the down. No, Ace not like this, forcing the grab as well. This is not good.
It looks like they're giving up here on the Ghostface after this start, and with this now going into the locker, that looks like Sequence is accepting their fate. Q. This looks like a finisher very soon here, and
I think Ultra heard some footsteps around us. I think that's why we took a second here. And we see now gone back into the shroud. Of course, with leaving the survivor across the way on the ground, that does mean you know exactly where Nia needs to go. Trying to see if we can find a cutoff point with no one around now. Probably gonna go. Oh, but there's the Nia and the save with the pallet here. The patience to be able to at least get 2 survivors back into play. Now you've got the survivor off the hook as well. It's at least, you gotta say, at minimum, you love to see the fight from the survivors with a 3v1 with 5 gens still standing.
We do get an information from Team Sequence in the background that they are experiencing some teleports on the survivor side. That's something we need to look in after this match here. It's too far played to just pause it or interrupt it here. So we are going to look into what Team Sequence is trying to show us there. That might be something we need to update you on. For now, that's going to be a very impressive performance from Ultra. That's Axis remaining, and if he gets located and there's the position revealed, that might be a 4K on 5 generators standing.
Yeah, I don't think this is something that I don't know if I have ever seen a 4K on 5 gens standing. And the fact that we might be potentially seeing that on a Ghostface of all killers, right? This isn't a Nurse or a Blight or someone like an Oni or a Billy that's got the one-shot potential. This is Ghostface on Larry's Memorial Institute. And not only is this, you know, a Ghostface on Larry's, this is Sequence's pick. So to be able to come in here with this level of dominance, even if they get a gen or 2 done, I mean, honestly, just to be able to flip the script here, and if you can at least make sure that you maybe only 3 gens get done, since 4 seems to be the magic number, that's really what you're looking for here. Oh no.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. In the background, they are claiming a few things there from both sides now, according to Ping and according to crossplay office. So that's something we need to look into here. That's going to be difficult though. We are going to play out this match as normally here, and then we are going to investigate everything and keep you updated. Things are getting spicy here in the tiebreaker, that's for sure.
We're going to be seeing now David does have Ultra trying to trail behind, does the head nod to try and bait out the pallet throw. We're seeing some patience being displayed right now from David. Ultra, though, able to mind game, get the vault through the window in order to be able to get the very easy M1 and the down here. There's going to be our first generator getting done, so no 4K at all, 5 gens up. But this is going to be hook stage number 7 here at this point. This is a survivor that is going to be on the verge of being able to be removed from the trial as soon as they're taken off of the hook as well. So, I mean, Ultra just showing some dominance here. And I think the big thing, this is one of those situations where it's not always about sometimes just getting lucky, but still you got to make sure that you can capitalize on top of that, right? You had the early down, but still just continuing the snowball pressure. That's why we're only looking at 1 generator complete. Probably won't even be seen in a second if Ultra is able to keep this pace going.
Ultra just very impressive. Now Sequence going for some generators here, 2 of them being knocked out. And I mean, in this stage of the game, you want as many generators out or being taken out as possible, right? It might come down to a pure point question at the very end, and the question who's knocking out more generators here. So Ace might even be considered for an end game play.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like right now that's kind of your best case scenario, right? Like you're I was gonna say probably not gonna get any other gens done. Unfortunately, though, there is going to be Ace being located now, being moved into this bunks room here, which of course this tile a little bit more elongated, kind of hard to mind game around for that reason. going to be seeing Ultra go ahead and break the pallet. Now going to be a break going into the shroud here, able to cover up the red stain. I feel like now we're just kind of go for style points here, trying to be able to get the stock. Of course, if you get the stock, your red stain would be continue to be able to be covered up. So maybe that is something that Ultra was going for here, because at this point might not be surprised to see Ace continue to throw every single pallet with reckless abandon, because then you might allow for the bleed out across the way onto Renee as well.
And now going to be on the final run here. Apologies when we are going to sound a little bit interrupted here, but we are already talking to the teams in the background to try figure out what is going on there. Sequence wants to show us something that's going to be reviewed by staff after this trial ends. We need to play it out though. We are further than 60 seconds into the trial, so that means we need to wait for the outcome, because the match might be scored at this current state here. So it is going to be a 4K on 3 generators for now, if he manages to go for all the slugs here. And then we need to see what Sequence has for us, and then staff needs to make a call. So yeah, for now it would be a 28-4. That's going to be the score after trial number 1, but this score needs to be confirmed. We are going to put this match basically on a break. You could say we are not moving into the next trial here. Staff is going for an investigation. We hope that is not taking too long here, so we apologize already, but we need to make sure that the things are playing out correctly here. So we are going on a little bit of a longer break here. 28-4 the score for now, but it needs to be confirmed and is not final yet. Therefore, we're going to catch you after a break. Hello everybody. Housekeeping first, would Willie Awesome from DBD League say when he's loading into a match where he needs to explain some stuff. So I'm just going to copy that, and we'll start with some housekeeping. In the meanwhile, you can enjoy the gameplay in the background, but housekeeping has priority here. So it was reported by Team Sequence that they have experienced some teleports and that they couldn't play normally. While we have been in the match longer than 60 seconds, we saw their ping, but we forced them to stay in the trial because we need to check how the game is ending. Sequence has reported that in time, so staff investigation happened, and they handed in a few clips where we could see something like the rubber handling from the service, where you teleport like a little bit back, like stuttering on a meter. And we were identifying that one of these situations led into Ultra achieving a down he shouldn't had, and he gets the revenge right here. But the other 3 clips Sequence showed us, there was a stuttering in the survivor movement, but it didn't impact the game outcome. It was outside of killer interaction. It was not causing injuries or downs, and overall, it looked more like behavior being extra behavior a little bit, but there was nothing that justifies an unplayable condition following Rule 24. And Rule 24 also describes that the condition for a restart is going higher and higher. And even though Sequence has informed us very soon in the mid-game, even for mid-game, it was not enough to justify an entire restart here. So Sequence, and this is important to me for the end of the housekeeping, Sequence went into a discussion with me, which is more than fine and very, very understandable when you don't get a restart here that is that important. I really, really respect that. There's no issue with that. But I want to give a shout out to Team Sequence and to the team captain René here. It was a very nice talk, a very chilled a talk with such arguments and going back and forth and trying to understand each other. And we ended on them not being happy with no restart, but them understanding why we are taking this decision. And that was a very big reaction to this decision and a very sportsmanlike behavior. I just want to point out here for the end of the housekeeping, big shout out to Sequence. We are continuing this tiebreaker here with iPick now on the 28-4. And Q, so far, I think he has done a really good job, even though the slugs are not ending in a hook so far.
Yeah, it's been interesting seeing not able to at least get one secured. So maybe you can at least try and get a little bit of control and start get a little bit of progress as far as the objective. But we do keep seeing getting progress on the stock, forcing these teams here able to get the last second hit onto the Nancy here just before the timer from that exposed status does go off here. Really big here. I mean, the ruin did get cleansed, unfortunately, so you don't have that in your back pocket as far as for now, but you do have the sloppy butcher. You do also have the thananophobia here. You've got the swing. Get behavior through the pallet. I thought was trying to get down there. There's unfortunately I thought was going to get the pallet down their face. Not going to be the case. Going to be seeing. Continue to look around. If we don't have anybody moving in here soon, I pick maybe fighting for the 4K before a second gen pops.
Dude, that would be incredible, right? And if he only achieves the tie, that would be incredible here, because coming back from this, like a very, very difficult game, and then having kind of difficult condition on your survivor team as well, is really strong. And this leaves Paige. And Q, I'm not gonna lie, I would understand if Paige is just sticking to a generator, forcing the tie here.
Yeah, we do see, though, we across the way the unhook comes in. We also got Nia off the ground. Now going to have Paige taking the hit. That is going to be big because that does mean all survivors are now injured. And that's going to be really important to keep in mind with the sloppy butcher rework here recently, right? Before we used to kind of see comp teams try and kind of like 99 the heal to kind of hide the reset point. You don't have that option here at this point. So it's going to be tough. We see everyone besides Paige here now vertical, everyone off the ground. I pick not settling for just the one hook, though. I think looking to make a little bit of a snowball.
Yeah, he is really trying to achieve the win here for Team Sequence, and he's doing a wonderful job so far. There's Thomas coming in and leaving straight away when seeing iPick. So this run here needs to be on for quite some time. And that's a huge down here, actually. This is going to be a quick redown onto the Nia here. Thomas and Paige on the ground. IKEA and Ultra now on the generators. There's the next survivor already. Meanwhile, Paige is being picked up. It's really hard to predict at the moment how many survivors are actually busy with these generators, or how many people are busy with just picking up the slugs.
Yeah, this is really intense here. I mean, right now too, if you're talking about how hard it is just to get the resets, then when you happen to touch a gen, if the resets haven't come across, you probably have maybe Ultra on a gen somewhere, but it slowed down at least currently by 10%, was 15% ago, not too long ago. Now going to be seeing Nancy down on the ground. That's 2 slugs yet again. However, when we talk about these slugs, you do want to keep an eye down there in that bottom left-hand corner. Thomas's bleed out timer already halfway expired. So that's going to be an additional kind of thing that iPick's going to have to start juggling here soon.
It's now going to be iPick here. Keeps going with the slug, needs the pressure on the survivor team, cutting off the Quentin Ultra. But both of them, Paige and Ultra, healthy, not that much of stalk progress. It's going to be the Nia. There's the next generated. That's the tie now. If they do get another one, Demice would take set number 2 here. So this is going to be really, really huge now for Demice. They've struggled free from all this pressure here, and almost everyone is back to healthy. Actually, a very impressive turn.
Yeah, I mean, really just seeing the fight here right now from our survivors, from Demice. Going to be seeing Ultra, going to be able to break out iPick, has a pretty nice palette to be able to work around. Going to jump right into iPick here. Going to be taking the M1. Now going to, I think that was Paige we had seen, also rotating to the left towards that unhook swing and a miss through the pallet space. Now going to be seeing iPick trying to do the best that they can, at least keeping their body priority to try and block off this pallet space here. Nice patience, though, shown thus far from Ultra. And I think Ultra going to be worried a little bit about that ping here. We do see the wild swing at the pallet space. Ultra now making around. That is going to be the down at this point. And also, I had mentioned the bleed out timer earlier as far as on Thomas. But you'll even see here on Ultra, we got quite a bit of bleed out timer already expired as well.
And this is now going to be the basement hook here for iPick. He is giving up on the slugging, realizes that it doesn't work against a very organized team Demice. And This is going to be tricky, but that third and final generator is still missing on the side of Demice. The win condition is not met just yet. Checking the lockers once again. This time there's no page hiding in there. And we do see that Ultra is now going to be rescued from the basement. This is going to be the stalk onto Page, and that actually doesn't work out. 99 here. That's going to be really, really tough, because that would have been a very great exchange.
Yeah, now we're going to be seeing Paige, knowing that they are probably relatively close to being exposed, going to wait for the stalk, now trying to get the pallet down. Not going to be the case. That is going to be Paige now down onto the ground. Any pallet save enjoyers? Not going to be the case. This is going to result in yet another basement here. We do see Quentin still hanging around here. Might want to make sure that you can get to safety here, friend.
Now Page here in the basement as well. Next survivor will be hopefully located very soon. iPick still doing a wonderful job here and keeping himself together. But there is third generator. We are going into the Plague, into set number 3 here. Demice in sequence pushing us all the way through. This is getting really, really interesting here, because especially the Plague on Suffocation Pit, that's a killer where it's a lot about the decision making, right? And where you can see a very, very nice game plan being tested from both teams.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting here, right? Because now at this point, the survivors who are currently here wrapping up trial number 6 here at this point, going to be returning out for trial number 7 to start that third and decisive set. So you kind of have the ability, I feel like the ability to doubly push down that pressure, because they can anticipate, like you had said, even though they have to accept the result. That sequence wasn't happy about the non-restart. So if you can come out here and set number 3 and put pressure on them on top of that, and then potentially maybe like force a early, like very early down in that 8th game, like it's a really big way to kind of really lead yourself to a victory here. So it all kind of starts from this point right now, honestly.
And now I think we're talking back about momentum and motivation and mindset, right? Because if iPick is able to still 4K here on Larry's, that will give him the confidence, him and Team Sequence, the confidence that, hey, we can keep Demice under control, and they are not going to be dominant here. They are not taking the control over what's happening in the game. And I think there would be a very important push looking onto that third set, trial number 7, that is coming up on the Suffocation Pit. I think that's going to be really important for Team Sequence, and looking on how well he's doing with all the slugs and all the pressure Demice is trying to put up here, keeping up with that, I think Sequence might still be in the better mental state here, or in the better motivational state for trial number 7.
Yeah, I think it's all about how you can kind of embrace what's happened here, right? Do you allow the things that were out of your control to allow it affect the mental, let it affect like the attitude, right? Or do you let that kind of be like that burning fire to be able to come out and set number 3, be like, you know what, let's just go ahead and play another set. We know what we're doing. And as long as they can keep their own composure together here, right? I mean, Sequence has been one of those teams that we have seen, I mean, really across competitive DBD for quite some time. We know what they can do. So, I mean, if they can keep the composure together, even though things didn't work out quite in their favor, I would have to agree. I think they're still really set up in moving into this last and final set here. That's the key, though.
Yeah, this is going to be the key, and here's some patience by our Nia. Thomas doing a really, really good job here on this relatively unsafe pallet. iPick is going to chase after him, but Ultra is going to be rescued in the distance. And it's interesting to see how Sequence and Demice really not giving any space to each other, because they know set number 3, trial number 7 is coming up here really, really soon. Both of them want to make sure that the opponent is under pressure. They want to prove that the opponent opponent need to be worried for the Plague that is coming out on the Suffocation Pit there. Ultra is now receiving the reset here, but they are getting located straight away. So Ultra just reset and now back into chase here, fully exposed as well. So this might be a quick run, but it's going to be interesting how many gens IKEA can get out in the meanwhile.
Yeah, we do see here at this point, Ultra going to be moving in through the library, just going to be holding Shift W all the way into the operation room and actually finding IKEA here. Going to go ahead and get the M1. So that does mean now IKEA injured. Also, Ultra here still exposed for a little bit of time here. So you've got some plays that you can make. We're about to have that Night Shroud available at our disposal. Does look like that's exactly what iPick is going to decide to move. Moving through the shower room here, more towards the corner of this map. We do see the scratch marks moving around the corner even more. So it looks like we're kind of stuck in this. Actually, I think do we have both survivors over here? Not at least it is just the Quentin whose exposed status is just about expired. Should be able to build the distance to at least watch that timer go here. Really good job surviving that. There is going to be that fourth generator getting done for our survivors here. So, I mean, still pushing back, still showing, hey, we're here. We aren't finished. And, but we are going to be seen here at the Pallet Ultra. That is going to be a down.
Yeah, but was that a very good job or was it an ultra good job? That's the question here for the survivor of Demice. But IKEA with generator number 4 in the distance, they might get all generators done here. Would be also good for yourself and Demice, right? Getting an additional generator compared to the match we had to play before the tiebreaker here. So just putting up basically your personal best performance. And that can also be something that really, really carries you over into the Plague set with some confidence. But iPick manages to locate the survivor here, trying to cut them off. Hatch spawns randomly, but it doesn't matter here on IKEA. He is going down. That's going to be the hook. So basically 4K on 1 gen once again here. We can say luckily it's not going to end in a tie here because Demice is going to take the second set here after 1 hour and 20 minutes on Larry's Memorial Institute. We have a decision who is going to take set number 2, but this is not going to be the end because Sequence and Demice are now standing in a 1-1, so we actually need to move to the Suffocation Pit with the Plague. I'm not going to take any outro here because we are so far behind schedule and we have Trauma survived with bots waiting at the sideline to go for their match here, so we are instantly hopping into the break.
All right, let's go ahead and take another trip here back into the fog, starting off set number 3, set number 4. Our decisive set here between Demice and Sequence, starting off with Ultra on the Plague here on Suffocation Pit. We do see picking up that Corrupt Purge very, very early here, bringing in, of course, the Yellow Apple. And we have been seeing some killers bringing in the Double Apple add-on. Instead here, bringing in the Amulet, that purple add-on, which I gotta be honest, I like that add-on. I think that shows more confidence. That shows, hey, I want the extra time to get more pressure.
Yeah, this is, oh, a nice one here. Last second from Ultra. And this is actually working out. The Access taking a quick down. Sequence seems to be a little bit shuffled still and a little bit chaotic from the Larry's Memorial Institute on the Ghostface there. And this is a lot of risk here by Killjet moving in to potentially go for the pallet save. And this is a double down on 5 generators here. It's 80 seconds into the trial. This is huge. This is changing everything.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about here, Dyer, because now you've got this change here. We know that they were, unfortunately had to fight through what they were hoping was going to be a restart. What's going to be important, though, is this game can be far from over, but it's going to have to take one step at a time here, right? Because we see even now going to make the pallet stick just in case we happen to have any pallet save enjoyers, making sure we secure the second fresh hook here. We are going to be having the unhook across the way, but that does require a survivor to come in. That means less people working on gens across the board as well. 2 fresh hooks here. No generator complete just of yet. Actually, don't even see the Corrupt getting off the gens until just another second from now.
And this is going to be really, really difficult here, especially if Ultra manages to go for a punishment here against Team Sequence. Killjet and Excise, the injured survivors here. Killjet also here on the bottom side. That's not the perfect generator setup, but still enough to work, especially when you have the hook right here next to the shark. He's now also checking on this generator in the corner that has a little bit of progress, but the information tool is being used with the power here. And I do think Sequence is confronted with the decision already. Do they potentially go onto a cleanse from Excise here, going back to the healthy state? They do knock out the generators at the top side, and I do think efficiency right now is the best response to what Ultra managed to do here in the early game.
So do you think you full commit to 3 survivors? Instead, we see Adam full committing to the pick here. We do see, though, our friend iPick.
Nice.
We see our Fang doing a good job protecting iPick here. The question is borrowed time left when they go through the window? I think Ultra knew that still would have been a borrowed time hit. Now I'm going to be working back through our short wall jungle gym. Not going to be able to make the connection here, though. Now going to be moving into our TNL, but that is going to be the down.
This is going to be a down, and not enough time for Team Sequence to really make a turn here. The dry kick coming out. We have 15% slowdown right now from the Thanatophobia here. So Ultra with a confident pick there on the Thanatophobia, but really able to capitalize on Sequence mistakes. There's one another generator coming out on the top side. This is the puke towards the survivor here, adding a little bit, or trying to add a little bit of sickness. Not successful onto the Nancy here. Essential, though, showing themselves, trying to bait a little bit. Might also be Sequence setting something up here. There's the ace right in the open. They're trying to deny the hook stage here. Ultra is still waiting to pick up. Now potentially going for it after another dry kick, or at least the puke onto this generator here. The survivors really close around from left and from right, trying to put the pressure onto Ultra, but we have to say he's staying really, really calm and collected. You're muted.
We also, thank you so much. I'm sorry, I had little man come in behind me here. Yeah, we do see, I was going to say, though, the patience here, right? You talked about showing like a really good control. It is going to be interesting, though, now trying to rotate this survivor back towards the shack. I feel like we had not. Oh, actually, I was going to say this might be a little bit of an overextension. Now you're going to lose this hook here. We see a third gen popping across the way. Even with the early downs, our survivors are fighting back here. Really, really nice.
Yeah, can we just talk about the fact that we had a double down on Plague after just 60 seconds into the match, and now we have 3 generators done with 2 stages? It's amazing what Sequence is putting up on the table here. It's amazing how they're going for a recovery here in this trial number 7. This is important to everyone who just joined us from DBD League. Thank you again at this point. It's trial number 7 due to a tiebreaker on the Ghostface. So these 2 teams have played for over 2.5 hours at this point against each other. They are really, really starting to get exhausted, and it's going to be difficult to stay concentrated here. And yet Sequence is able to pull such a counterplay here against Ultra. It's really, really impressive to watch.
Yeah, and we see now actually moving around the... No, tucked inside? Oh, I thought we had seen there is blood pools on the inside. Actually continuing to go around the outside of the cold tower here, trying to get the hit. That's going to be the down on to Killjet here. And we're going to actually see the pick here at this point. We have a little bit of time left on the power. Not sure if we're going to be able to use it to get any more pressure across the board, but it does allow us to secure that second hook stage here now on to Killjet. It's going to be more in the middle of the map, so Ultra will still be able to monitor a couple of these gens. There is generator number 4. Our survivors doing a really, really good job fighting back here. Now you know at least where 2 of your survivors are. The last one being the fully healthy survivor right now, the Nancy you tried to land the infection onto, not quite going to be able to do that. So we're just going to actually double back here. But that's generator number 5. Already getting complete here, just on a roll.
2 stages after 60 seconds, 3 stages in endgame. I think just by naming these statistics, it shows how impressive Sequence has been played here. I pick this Firecracker is not going to land, but it's a good celebration to the comeback Sequence has done in this trial here. Really, really impressive. There's going to be the no way out at the top, at the bottom side, actually. They are really, really close here with these 2 stacks. We do see the cleanses coming in at the top side. The doors, though, are really dangerous, and Ultra would have enough time due to the no way out to pick up this power here. There's the hook back there. They need to attack these doors, so it might be Sequence pulling back all the way to not run into the power, but that would mean that iPick is camped or hooked into second stage for free.
Yeah, but we are going to be seeing here instead taking the chase back towards the top side of our map here, which is interesting because now we're actually going to be losing our pressure on the hooks. We know that the no way out is now going to be off the door. There's only 2 stacks, so 36 seconds. That is long expired since then. Nancy just going to be able to shift W tech all the way back here into the corner. And this should still allow for the 3 out across the way. So you had mentioned it. We had started with 2 downs with a very early use of the power. We had 2 fresh hooks before the corrupt intervention expired, and now we could be potentially looking at 3 survivors escaping out the doors across the way. That's I don't even know what else to say, but wow, honestly.
Yeah, this is really, really. I mean, for Ultra, it's huge to keep the fresh hook in, but 7 stages out of a double down is really just an amazing result. And Sequence was really, really coming back here and really making sure that they're taking a lot of stages out of the door. So it's 7 stages here for Ultra, for Team Demice. We're going to have the score coming in a second here, but so, it's an impressive game for Team Sequence.
Yeah, I mean, I think almost all of us who watched the very beginning of that trial thought that that was going to be the start of a snowball for Demice since they were able to, get the overtime in set number 2, then win set number 2, then you get the double down to start off set number 3, but to be able to fight through all of that honestly shows a lot of chemistry amongst the team, and I'm going to be really excited to see what their killer now comes out with in this next trial here.
Score is here 18 for Sequence, 15 for... Oh, sorry, Demice 18. Sequence is with 15 points here, so this is going to be quite a difficult one for the other one, and therefore we're going to switch the sides here. I said we are far behind schedule. Trauma and Survive with Bots are waiting for over 90 minutes to get into the match, so we are hopping into the break. Welcome back, everybody, to trial number 8 between Sequence and Demice here. We are in game for round about, I think, 3 hours at this point, with a tiebreaker being needed on the Ghostface here. Demice really writing the story of an impressive comeback on Larry's Memorial Institute, pushing us into the 3rd set here and looking really good with 7 stages on the Plague. But the Survivor team of Sequence also looked really, really strong, especially when we are talking about the fight they've put up here. So iPick now picking up the power as well, being confident. He needs 8 stages or 7 stages across all 4 survivors here for the win. That's not going to be easy, but that's also not the most horrible win condition here. So this match could really play out either way.
Yeah, and we are going to be seeing wanting to come in here, being really aggressive. Not only pulls the first corrupt pull very early and gets a very early down, but we talk about coming in with the double apple add-on. That was something we had kind of talked about earlier, something we've kind of seen become more popular in competitive DBD really over the last couple of months here, kind of straying away from the amulet, not taking the extra amount of time per power, but instead saying, give me more uses early so I can try and to acquire those downs. I think part of that's because if you are using the power to at least get 1 down instead of trying to get 2, you don't need the extra 20 seconds all the time, right? So we're going to see here hanging around main. And I didn't notice until we're just kind of looking around. Nice little 4-gen setup right now for iPick here. We see the Corrupt still has about 10 seconds. We're right there within puking range from generator number 4. We see some dead man switch value coming in across the way here as well. So iPick off to a really nice start.
Yeah, iPick has a very good start here as well. Same as Ultra in the previous trial here. Really able to get a survivor on a hook where you want them, right? Ultra was really able to keep them on the bottom side and making it difficult to move in for the save. And iPick basically flipping it 180 onto the top side here. But with the Deadman switch especially and blocking these generators here, it's going to be really, really good for him. First generator is coming out. We see the Rancor coming out as an information tool here. This one is a nice hit onto the generator. And I think most importantly, and that might be crucial towards the mid game, is the fact that iPick has a power available here on the top side whenever a survivor is moving in. So what we actually might see is IKEA getting face camped into the elimination, and then iPick sitting here on the top side with the 4-gen and the power, really, really setting himself up.
Yeah, and it looks like that's exactly what iPick was trying to set themselves up for here, going for the early pull of the Corrupt Purge. There is the borrowed time. Unfortunately, though, I don't know how much distance that is going to build you. We do see iPick playing a little careful around the pallet space here, not wanting to get stunned. That does result, though, now in the double down. And I think at least the first thing you're going to want to do is come grab your Claudette before you have to worry about them laying up inside of a pallet space. They're going to go ahead and put them up on this hook right here in the middle. Now what's going to be interesting is you'll want to keep in mind whenever this sacrifice hook comes in, that's going to be a hook that you're, oh no, wait a minute. Now you know you have somebody, and you wait, you know where the last person's at.
I think this was Demice realizing that they would be in a really, really difficult spot here and trying something risky to get themselves out here. Because if this rescue mission would have worked and they would have all rotated towards the bottom side, they would have potentially been the most clean recovery play in a while here. Demice with a great idea, but iPick able to punish it, and now it's going to look really, really bad here for Demice. It's going to be hook stage number 5 coming in. So they have taken the risk for a good reason. Unfortunately, it's not working out for them.
Man, this is just going to be one of those situations where when you happen to make mistakes against the right killers who can really punish you for it, we're seeing the results of it here. I mean, so much pressure now in favor for iPick here. You had mentioned how long these two teams have continued to fight here, playing against one another through countless hours, or a couple of hours, I should say. I shouldn't say countless. That makes it sound like it's really been forever. But through all of that, to be able to maintain the composure and to be able to punish those mistakes there, honestly, really big shout out to iPick here.
And this is, yeah, iPick will be able to force the win condition with the next 2 hook stages here, and he still has 2 generators to go. So it looks really, really good for him, but Demice not defeated yet, and Demice was the team with tons of surprises today, so it's going to be interesting what they have prepared here. Nice patience by Tumas on this filler pallet, now being tricked by iPick, though, into the down here. Really, really good job, and that's a fresh hook if I'm not mistaken, so that would mean as soon as iPick is forcing this survivor into the second stage, that's going to be the win. I do get alerted by the wonderful staff in the background that I'm miscalculating on the hook stages. It's indeed the second one, but still, if the elimination is coming through here, there would be the win for Team Sequence. So Demice now under a ton of pressure.
Yeah, and it is going to, as you see, they haven't been able to break up the 4-gen, right? They spent a lot of pressure up to this top side just for the save earlier. That didn't work. And with this 4-gen being in place still, with, you know, basically having to play a perfect game from here on out, this is going to be extremely tough here. We did see the borrow time hit onto Thomas. We actually hit the generator behind us, even has a decent amount of progress. Swing and a miss through the pallet here, trying to find a connection onto Page. iPick continuing to hold W, working the way around. That's going to be the down here. And at that point, this will be the elimination onto our Claudette here. So that does bring this down into a 2v1.
And this 2v1 is going to be difficult for Demice here. They might want to finish this off in a really, really nice way. I think an escape would really suit the performance Demice has shown us today here in the longest game in Blood Moon League 1 and 2. That's something they can note down as a record here. This was just intense. We just crossed the 3-hour mark for this match here, from 7:30 to 10:30. 3-hour mark has been crossed for Demice and Sequence. This is incredible how they are still keeping up the focus here. It's going to be the full infection onto Demice here, and he is going down Ultra, the final one in this trial here. But iPic now going for the slug, looking to finish this with a 4K.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting here. I was going to say... with the crouch walk here, a little bit of memes to finish it off. Really, I mean, honestly though, big shout out to Demice. Really hard fought to be able to force the overtime in Sequence's set, then to be able to pull that out, and then just unfortunately not going to be able to pull things out here in set number 3. But it was really, really amazing to see the two of these teams fighting here throughout the course of this this matchup. Honestly, it's going to be really fun rewatching this back during the editing for sure.
Yeah, this is going to be a very impressive score as well, 43-21. We are still waiting for a confirmation on this score, but it is a really clear win here in set number 3. What we have to say is Demice and Sequence, such a great game. Demice here, absolutely insane. Sequence is at the top of the group here with a 2-0. Demice and Suffer only played once so far, both with a loss. Bra hasn't played yet due to a reschedule. They were supposed to play against Demice last week. So Group G is really, really interesting there. Group G is also going to have a lot of decisions very soon. We need to hop into the next game here. Trauma versus Survive with Bots on the Nurse, the Hillbilly, and if I'm not mistaken, the Doctor. We are going to check on that. But Demice, thank you so much for this fight today. It was a blast to watch. Sequence, thank you so much as well here. And we are not going to let Trauma and Survive with Bots wait. They are 1 hour and 38 minutes waiting for their game here. So we are hopping into that, and we're going to catch you with the Nurse on Cold Tower after a break.
If you ain't show something, you just don't wanna be. You wanna be me, but you will never be